This is the crypto market. And in reality, it is what it is. Look at the total market cap. It has not moved. It's still at $1.1 trillion. And you see Bitcoin is trying to do some things out here, which is really interesting for us when we are looking at this. Bitcoin dominance is creating a short-term falling wedge, which is a bullish pattern. Then at the same time, you look at the pattern, it's making lower low, but the RSI is making a higher low, showing a divergence there. The same with MACD, so something is cooking in this. We're going to see some kind of volatility. We're going to see some kind of fluctuations. Dollar is trying to push higher on the shorter time frame, and we see Bitcoin doing this. RSI is close to its trend line resistance here. That's positive. Short term, we may get a bounce, which will be the best thing. But we do have scenario and patterns which we have to consider. We are in a pattern which is bearish. We are slowly making lower highs. These are not positive. But what we have to look forward to is that, is the price looking for a support or is it looking for a resistance? Because if it's looking for a resistance, that means the price can go higher. Here, the MACD is suggesting you that it may cross to the upside. That's positive. It usually moves to the upside. You are looking at the RSI making a double bottom here. So on the short-term horizon, you do see possibilities that it can move higher. But you have to understand the higher time frame structure has more value. That usually plays out. So if the Bitcoin dominance is to increase and Bitcoin itself is going to go down, that means altcoins may slow down. So you really have to look for what Bitcoin shows you before you jump into anything. You will actually see the market doing great, but understand this right now is an area of opportunity. The way I'm looking at this, it's going to be massive opportunity out there. See, there are coins actually pumping like this, right? This was our call like 36 hours back saying, okay, this is going to be an opportunity and look at this. Now I'm looking at that, right? These are our targets. So 0.087 was the final target, which was like 40%. And right now it's above that. I'm like, oh, my target was short, but great. We still made it, right? Getting these opportunity calls for me on time before these are actually breaking higher is really important because, at that time, when you see this volatility in the market and you see people closing all these trades and profits, you should be happy, right? Non-leverage trade 35. So if it's leverage, you can go much higher even with lower level of leverages. Say here 58%. We closed in Storage. We actually moved into different assets. We are looking on all this. The way we see the market operating, like look at this one and that popping, it kind of show you that the market is giving you opportunities. The market actually opens up a lot of things. And if you are in concern, you will have to look at the market and ask the market, what do you see, right? And this is a junction where you need to keep an eye focused on the market. What do you actually see when you are looking at the Bitcoin chart? Because this kind of most likely dictates the market fluctuation. If it's me, I think there is going to be a positive momentum for altcoin market. Why is that? And what do we see? That's what we're going to discover today. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get to learn how to become the next top 10%. Now look at what happened yesterday. Like that's the historical price action which is confirmed, right? Today, the candle is still working on it. We don't know where it's going to close, whether it's going to be green, whether it's going to be red, or it's going to be just a wick. We don't know that. But right now, the market shows you this is a confirmed candle, which actually closed here. I don't know what the hell that was. But anyway, you see this? The amount of this wick here is important. Because when you're slowing down, coming down, and then getting this pattern here, it shows there is some strength coming into the market. Now, when you get that from the bottom, that's a hammer. Now, this is an inverted hammer. Now, if you get this at the top, that's a different story. It indicates next is going to be a correction. And you saw that correcting down. But as soon as that candle closed, you got sellers were being kicked out of the market by buyers. So that's actually something positive to look at, right? Now, these are price actions. We are trying to understand what the market is showing us. So that's on a daily. Now, yeah, literally you can actually go on a weekly or zoom in to see like what literally is happening after that, right? We just got that on a daily, agreed. But what do we see when we go zoomed in? Now you got that pattern here, so we want to see the market respecting that level. So if we take a step back and ask like what that level stands for, it's like a long support here, right? It's a long range. So if you break this pattern, considering that we are putting in lower highs, if we break this level, now this is what you're looking at. This is going to be a junction where the price can actually jump to. What does that mean? From the current place, the first support is going to be like 2%, which is okay. And the next one is going to be like 6 to 7%. I would say that's fine because that would give you a huge opportunity in a lot of different altcoins based on different segments for sure. A lot of buying opportunity. And remember, last time we did this, we did not actually drop massively. Instead, we just made a base by 6 to 7%. So that's not something bad. The market can actually give you opportunities. Now, you can actually go into a macro view for this one and ask like, okay, what does Bitcoin actually suggest you? Do it actually keep activity profile here showing you're going all the way back down, or it is suggesting you like, okay, we broke this level, we need to support that. I'm like, okay, that's actually fine. If you actually come back here and bounce, it's going to be again positive. So for us, it does look okay. But again, 5 to 6% drop in the market, if that's going to hurt you, you need to consider what you're doing in the market, right? This is crypto market, which is the most riskiest asset class in the history. So if you understand that, yes, there is room for a little bit of downside and short term, you do have volatility. Market is showing a different pattern, different structure. And we have to understand, yeah, there is a lot of noise. You do see things which you have to consider when you're actually going into different assets in the market. You do have to understand that. Now, for us, we do know that fundamentals look really strong for XRP. And that's one of the main reasons why we follow this asset. On the long term, yes, we are in between. This pattern is something we are looking forward to. We didn't actually break this level to the upside, rather on a weekly. This is important for all of us. As an XRP holder, looking at this right now, it doesn't feel really comfortable. On the short term, of course, agreed. But look at this price action here. This actually shows you that the price or the market decided to move around, right? On the weekly, you got an engulfing candle which went to the downside and closed. So weekly does not really look good. So I actually step in to see what's really happening. So I get the same perspective being laid out here. That's an engulfing pattern and it still is not invalidated. To invalidate that, you'll have to go above this level of 0.42, which is actually good, right? You can again zoom in, but remember the higher time frame structure, which on a weekly is showing you that there is an engulfing pattern to the downside. And we happen to get a couple of big movements here to the downside, showing, yeah, the engulfing candle is still valid. It's actually active in the market. But then on the short term, we actually got to see this one, which is like a bullish engulfing candle on a daily. But of course, you have to keep in mind that the higher time frame structure is weighing to the downside. So which is going to be your next support? That's going to be really important to observe. Why? Because when the price comes to this range, now you have to go back to that weekly, which showed you bearish signal, and see whether it's showing you bullish signal now, or at least easing the bears or coming neutral. That's actually positive. And that can be a buying point if it's actually showing you that. You can literally go on a short-term structure, which can be even hourly, and then look for what the moving average is showing you. If it's trending to the downside, showing you the downside, most likely you are going to the downside, right? You can literally look at the indicators and see like what they suggest, not what you think about them, what they show you. That's important to understand, because what you think or how you interpret can be different from what it actually shows you. That's why you're trying to confirm the same thing with the market in different time horizon. That's really important, because on a daily, you cross to the downside, retested, got rejected. That's what the MACD suggests to you, right? On a 3-day, you broke to the upside and you're still in that pattern. You have not invalidated that, right? So you're still inside that pattern. You need to actually break to the upside based on that pattern. So here, if you cross to the downside, the MACD suggests, okay, you are slow. Now, if you consider price, RSI and MACD, RSI has not been bullish, right? Yeah, it's starting to trend higher, but it did not go to that level which all of these assets which popped came into. Now, that's actually a big deal to understand. Like, when we are talking about these assets which are actually moving higher, you actually have to go look at them and ask, like, okay, what do you see there? Some of the easiest thing to look at is like the pattern itself. This is a rounded bottom pattern which showed you like, okay, this is going to get crazy. Then the RSI actually suggested you that something is going to happen in price, because the strength is at a level close to the all-time highs. Now, focus on what the price action just did from there. It just started taking off. It's already double, right? And it has a long way to go to test that all-time highs. That's like 5 to 6x in such a short frame. So if your window is long, now you have a ton of opportunities. Remember what we just discussed here. If you're on a daily and you're observing Bitcoin to see like what the market can actually do, at least it does show you maybe next week is going to be really good. Now, what do I mean by really good? I'm not saying all these large cap coins are going to burst through the sky. What I'm suggesting is that there is going to be room for great liquidity assets, which means you still have good or decent amount of liquidity to get in and get out, like 60 to 100 million dollars, sometimes 50 million dollar, close to that, and still popping. You get to see those, right? Earlier when we actually closed Rose trade, which was actually fine for me considering it's a 50% in profit in a day. That's literally not bad in my opinion. Now, there would be people arguing like 50% or 100% is not a big deal. Great for them, they get higher than that. But the thought process here is, if you can find these coins which actually is kind of moving against Bitcoin with more momentum and volatility, now you can take benefit of that. That's how we actually managed to get onto Veracity and take that 50%. And then moved on to another one. Now, we were unleveraged here, of course, because, when the market shows you a little bit of uncertainty, you don't want to go leveraged. And that's a reason why we did not leverage here, right? We came like, it did it 50% for a week. We took like 35 and moved out into a different assets, and that's working out, right? You are letting your money work for you, but you need to choose the right asset, because this is crypto market. This is going to be crazy in next couple of days or by this week, because this is going to be really interesting in next 7 days, because think the CPI data is going to come out and we need to focus on what the PPI shows and then try to interpret what the CPI will look like and understand, okay, if that's continuous reduction in the inflation rates, that does not sound like big for the central bank. Because if the inflation is dropping, they really don't have to go on and hike another level which is higher than the previous one. They can either slow down or continue with the same rate. So the macro gives you the ability to understand like what's happening, so that now you can make a confirmed decision inside with best educated guess. Now, this is market. You can only take the probability. You don't know what's going to really happen. You're trying to see what can happen, right? If you are saying like this, it's an opportunity window, which is really showing you, okay, this is breaking higher. I think the price is going to do first this level and then this level, right? Now, did it happen? It did. What factors did we consider? We had to consider a lot of big things, as we go through. 10, 12 different sets of rules before we enter into a trade. And if you are actually interested in that kind of thing, you can literally look at all this. You can just look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below, where we are looking for a lot of different assets, their breakouts, their targets, which actually is important because when you enter a trade and if you know that's where you exit, it's going to be really useful because the price does drop after that. For most of the assets, we have actually seen how the price moves higher, hit a certain resistance and start to drop. So if you are looking for all these information for macro, crypto, whatever you have in your portfolio, now this can be helpful for you. So guys, if you received value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye-bye.